GM, welcome to Web3 Club. In today's video, what we're going to learn is how do you authenticate a user and let them in based on their address. The user will connect their wallet with your website and then sign a message which will be decrypted on the server and make sure that the user is actually who they are claiming to be. The whole video will be in vanilla.js on the front end and express.js on the back end, so that the whole thing is very simple. You can understand the basic concepts and apply them in whatever framework you want. The reason why I am doing this in vanilla.js and express is because I want to keep things simple and explain how the whole thing works and not let you get swayed by the magic behind the curtains. Just a heads up, I lost my video feed in the video while recording, so you will be only able to see my screen and not a pretty face. But before we get started, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you're new here. If you do both of those things, I might be able to afford a real proper camera. If you want to send me a message, let me know in the YouTube comments. This video is in direct response to few messages that I received on my previous authentication videos to do a whole end-to-end video. And if you have a specific question, come join my Discord server. There are a bunch of people just like you and me who are trying to help each other out. Alright, with that said, let's get started. Now, what will be the flow of this whole thing? First, what will happen is people will connect their wallet like MetaMask. After that, the server will give them a nonce and a message to sign. The user will then open their MetaMask and sign that message. That message generates a signature which we will send back to the server with all the relevant data. The server will decode that signature and make sure that the user is actually who they are claiming to be. And once we know for a fact that the user is who they are claiming to be, what we'll do is we will give the user a correct access token with which they can access all the authenticated routes or URLs or paths or whatever you want to call them. So today what we're going to do is first we're going to create an express server. All right. So to do that, first let me create a folder for it. So this is my terminal, and here what I do is write mkdir and I guess auth. Now I cd into auth and open my Sublime text over here. The next thing I do is write npm install express, which is the server. We will also need JSON web token, which is a way through which we authenticate the requests, and what we'll also need is a Web3 library with which we can decrypt the signatures. So I press enter. Alright, now all the three things have been installed. The next thing what we need to do is create a new file called index.js. Now I am at express.js's getting started page. So just what you need to do is copy this whole line and paste it in your index.js. Let me just change the port to 4000 because for some reason my port 3000 is busy right now. One more thing that I will need is JWT, which I have just installed, and I'll require that with JSON web token. And I will also need Web3 with the W. All right, and that also I have installed as Web3. Now let's initialize the Web3 object. To do that, we just write const Web3 equals new Web3. And then we need to pass in a connection string. If you don't have any connection string, if you don't want to connect to the blockchain, you don't need to worry about it. Just send a random Cloudflare Edge string. If you want to connect, make sure you have a proper endpoint like Infura or Alchemy. So what I'll do is I'll just send the Cloudflare's free endpoint. Now to properly use JWT, I will need a JWT signature, secret, and that is something that you should not share with anybody because that is how you authenticate a user. So this should be some very secret value, and I want to send an HTML response here. So what I will do is I will use a middleware which allows us to send static response. So app.use express.static, I believe, and we share the path here where we will store the static files. For example, I've sent public over here, so I'll create a new folder called public, and here I will create a new file called index.html. Let me just increase the font so that it is visible to you. Alright, so now in the index.html file, what we'll do is we'll create an HTML file with the title authenticating users. And let me just add a button here which says login with Web3. And now what I'll do is I'll save both the files, and I'm going to my terminal and write node index.js. And this way I have turned on the server. So now if I open localhost port 4000, you can see that the button appears. Alright, so index.html and everything sort of works. Now the next thing that we want is a URL called, let's say, nonce, where the user can access a message that they can sign. So let me just create a new route called nonce. So app.get/nonce. And here, first thing that we need to do is generate a nonce. So nonce will be, let's say, new date dot get time. All right. Now this is something that you can have whatever. This can be any random string as well, any random number as well, whatever. So this is, I am just using the current date's time. And I also need the address of the user. So what we will do is we will send that address as a query string. That will be request.query.address. So we will send /nonce address equals and then the correct value of the address. So now that I have these two things, what I'll do is I'll create a temp token that I will send back to the user. To create the temp token, what I do is write jwt.sign and then send an object which will be nonce and address. So this is nonce : nonce and address : address. I also need the jwt secret over here with which we will sign this value, and I can send an option here which says expires in, and I can just say 60 seconds. So in 60 seconds this token will expire. Why 60 seconds? Because this is the temp token that we are just going to use to authenticate and give the user the real token. And then we need a message with the nonce and everything so that the user can sign that message. To do that, I will create a new method called get sign message, which will take address and nonce as its input, as its argument. So what I'll do is I'll create this get sign message. So I'll create this get sign message function, and in this function what I'm going to do is I'm going to return a string, please sign this message for address, and then here I will send the address and then colon and then \n, which means 2 enters, and then nonce. So here I'll send address and nonce. Okay. So I'll save this file and this is sort of ready. Now I just need to do rest.json, which means I want to respond with a JSON object, and the object will contain temp token and message. Okay. So these are the two things that we will send back to our front end. So now going back to the front end, I need to basically call a method when the user clicks on the login button. So I'll just call the connect method. And now I need to define this method. All right. So I can be like const connect equals async, and then we define the method. Now before we define the method, I just need to basically create two global variables, account, which will be null, which will be the address of the user, and then access token, which will be the final access token of the user. So now what we'll do is we'll check whether we have Ethereum object on window, which means whether we have MetaMask installed or not. If you want to use different wallets, I suggest you look into Web3 model, or you look into Wallet Connect and all those things and how does that work. I also have videos for that, so please feel free to search that. So now in window.ethereum, what I'm going to do is await window.ethereum.send eth_request account. And then what I'm going to do is window.w3 or web3, whatever you want to call, and then new web3, and then we will just send our provider as Ethereum. Now we have not installed web3 library right now. So what I'm going to do is go back to Firefox and write web3 npm. So this web3 npm page sort of opens up. Now what you can do is just go to GitHub and copy this CDN file. If you're using React or something like that, you can of course install directly. So I have copied the CDN file, and now this gives me this web3 object. Now I just need var accounts equals w3.eth.get accounts, and this gives me all the connected accounts. And then I can just add the account equals accounts and add the first connected account and basically store it in the variable. So now we have connected with MetaMask. The next thing that we need to do is call this nonce URL. So I'm going to create a new function called authenticate, and then this function sort of helps us make all those authentication calls. So I'll make this function async. So now I'm going to write let res equals and then fetch. Fetch is a way through which we make requests to the server. And in the fetch, what I need is /nonce and then question mark address equals, and then I just need to add $account over here. So this makes a call to our server and gets a temp token. All right. So to read this body, what I'm going to do is write let res body equals await res.json, because it's a JSON response. And now if I just console.log this res body, you will see what data I have received. So now we go back to our Firefox and refresh this page. So we click login with Web3, it opens up. It is asking me to connect with a specific account. I click next, I click connect. Once done, you will see that nothing has happened, but we had console.logged and even that did not work. And why did it not work? Because we did not call this method. So I'm just going to call account authenticate over here. Let me just await that while we are here. So now I refresh again and I click login with Web3 and I get an error. The reason is I did not await this get accounts. So I've done that. And next I need to restart the server as well. So I've just restarted the server. Now if I refresh and click connect, I still get an error, and I'm getting an error because I am calling this as an async function when it should not be. So what I'll do is I'll restart the server again, sorry about that, and log in with Web3 once again. And one more mistake, I need to await the fetch. Okay, so hopefully now it should work. And lo and behold, it is working finally. So we got temp token and we got the message. So the next thing that we need to do is ask the user to sign this message. Okay, so to do that, we just need to write w3.eth.personal.sign, and then we just need to send the message, which will be resbody.message. And we also need to send the account with which we want to sign this. So we'll send account. Now this will give us a signature that we can just save it like this, and we need to await this method. And once we get this signature, what I'll do is I'll just console.log that signature. So if I refresh this page again and log in with Web3, you can see that it is asking me to sign this message. And once I sign it, you can see that I get some sort of signature back. So now this signature I need to send back to the server. So now back to index.js, which is the server file. What I do is write another route called verify, and this route sort of expects that we will send our temporary token in the headers. I make the callback function async because I'm going to use some await functions over here. Now here what we need is auth header, which will be request.headers, and here we will send authorization over here. So this gives us an auth header for the authorization basically, and we need to make sure that this auth header exists. So auth header, and we need to divide it because the header will look like bearer space and then token. So what I'll do is auth header dot split with a space, and then I'll get the second element from there. That will be our temp token. Now if temp token is null or doesn't exist, triple equals, then what we do is we return res.send status, and then we just write 403 because the client has made some mistake. Now once that is out of the picture, we have a token, a temp token. So what we need to do is write a jwt.verify and write temp token and then jwt secret over here. We need to await this function, and this gives us back the object with nonce and address. We can write const user data equals this, and then we have nonce equals user data dot nonce, and we have const address equals user data dot address. So now that we have these two things, we just need our message that was signed. So const message equals get sign message, and then we write address and nonce over here. So now we have the message. Now we need to verify whether this message was signed by the address. Now to verify, what we will do is we'll write const verified address equals await web3 dot eth dot accounts, I believe, dot recover, and then in recover we need to send the message and the signature. Now where does the signature come from? The signature will come from the query parameters. So what we'll do is we'll write const signature equals rec dot query dot signature. Okay, so this gives us a verified address, and we need to make sure that this verified address dot to lowercase is the same as address dot to lowercase, and if it is, that means the user is a valid user, and we will respond with something. If it is not, then we just say rest dot send status with 403, which means the client made some mistake. Now if it is actually the correct user, so what we'll do is we'll create a new token with jwt.sign, the same thing that we've done earlier, and this time we create a token with verified address, the jwt secret, and expires in, now this one will live for a longer time, let's say 1 day. Okay, and then we respond with a JSON object for the token. Okay, so now this time the client will make a verify request and get the correct token back, with which they will make further requests. Now coming back to the front end, what we need to do is we need to make a post request from fetch. So to do that, first we need, let's say, the options, the OPTS, and the options will have a method called post, and we need to add two headers. One will be for content type, which will be application/JSON, and the other will be authorization header, where we will send our temp token bearer, and then res body dot temp token. Okay, so these are the options, and then what we will do is we will basically call this with fetch with the URL /verify question signature equals signature. And you can see that this is not the best organized code, so I will leave that to you. I'm just trying to show you how it works. So this again gives us a response, and from that response we get a response body with res.json, and now this time with the res body we should have a token, and that is what we will return with res body.token. So here what we'll do is we'll write access token equals this, and just to make sure that it worked, what we'll do is we will log our access token, or we can actually alert it as well, so that it is much more visible. Okay, so now we go back, we refresh this page, and of course we need to restart the server as well, and then click on login with Web3. We will get a signature request that we will sign. Once signed, we get this value undefined, and we got this undefined because we forgot to await the res.json, which returns a promise. So I need to refresh the page, log in with Web3 again, click sign, and lo and behold, we got our token. Now what we need to do is, on the server side, make sure that every request, every secret request needs to have this token. So to do that, we'll go back to our server code, and we need to write a small middleware that we need to apply to every authenticated request. So this is what the middleware looks like, authenticate token. So firstly, basically we take out the token from our authorization header. So if the token does not exist, what we do is we respond with 401 request. After that, what we do is we jwt.verify the token, and if the token is actually correct, what we do is request.auth data. We add the auth data, the verified address object, the object which has the verified address. We add it to the request.auth data, and then we move forward from the middleware. So now what I can do is I can create a new route called app.get, and then this will be a secret route. Here we need a sync request and then response. And one thing we need to do is we need to use the authenticate token middleware. So I'm going to send it like this. And then here the request will reach here only if the token is valid. So if the token is valid, what I do is respond with welcome address. And then here we need rec.auth data.verified address. Okay, and hopefully this is going to work. This is also me running it for the first time, and there was a problem here because I am using a variable here. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is just call function and use it as a function. Okay, this time it should work. Port 4000 should work. Let me refresh, log in with Web3, and I have the token with me. So the next thing that I need to do is on the front end side, I need to call this function and let's say alert with the data that we get. Okay, so to call this function, we have to sort of replicate this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate that part, and now instead of verify, I just need to call secret. There's no signature, we just need to send options. The method is a get method. Make sure we have the token over here. So for token, we need to add access token over here, and we get this res. If you see on the backend, we are sending a text object, so we need to just await res.text, and this can be alerted or opened up, inserted into the HTML document, opened up somewhere or something like that. That is up to you. So let me restart the server once again. Go here, refresh, log in with Web3, and this time the alert says welcome address, and it is my address, and there you go. If I try to open this secret route without anything, it says unauthorized. You cannot do that because that is how we have coded the system. So there you go. That is how you create an end-to-end authenticated system using Web3 as a way to authenticate the user. If this video was helpful to you, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button on YouTube and subscribe to this channel if you're new here, or if you haven't and you're old. If you want to send me a message, please let me know into the YouTube comments. This is tutorial. This whole video was made because a few people let me know in the YouTube comments, so make sure you do that. And if you have a specific question, come join my Discord server. There are a bunch of people just like you and me trying to help each other out. With that said, I hope to see you again next week. Till then,